Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Flexitalks, your go-to source for innovation and ideas. I'm your host, Pamela, together with my co-host.
Bernice. And we are excited to dive into yet another fascinating topic that impacts not just the IT industry, but potentially all workplaces. Steps that you should take if you want to be a project manager.
That's right, Bernice. So let me just ask you a question. Have you ever aspired or wanted to be a project manager in your
Oh,
career?
definitely. Yeah, definitely. I've always wondered what it takes to be a project
Mm-hmm.
manager. They're always diligent, organized, and somehow they have this way of talking that makes you feel like everything's gonna be fine because they
Mm-hmm.
know what to do, right?
Yeah. Um, for some time I did as well, but although I hesitated a little because I'm not really sure how to do it or what's the steps or if I'm actually qualified for it. So, to answer that question, we invited one of Flexisource IT's project manager, Brendon. We have here today. Hi, Brendon. Welcome to the show.
How
Hello,
are
thank
you
you guys for
doing
inviting
today?
me.
Hi.
Hello. So yeah, thank you for inviting me. I'm here to share with you guys the things I think would help
Mhm.
you guys if you really want to pursue project management.
Yes. Okay. Sir Brendon, to start our discussion, could you please give us a little background on what project manager does and why is it important in today's business?
Okay, so basically, as an overview answer to your question, so basically we are the one who organizes the things that needs to be done,
Mm-hmm.
coming from the ideation up until the delivery of the product or the project itself. So we tie up, or we are the one who ties up all the components that is need for a certain product that needs to be live in a certain timeline. And also, we are the one who haggles and make sure that the agreements are delivered based on the deadline that is committed by both, by
Okay.
a lot of angles, either from the resources, with the stakeholders, and also on my end as well, because even though I'm the one who organizes, I have deliverables also internally and externally.
Okay, that's good.
Also, on another note though, what are the common misconceptions about the role of the project manager?
All right, so sometimes people, they always say that project management or project manager is just the same with product manager. So it's a misconception between, because they are somewhat interchangeable. The term itself can be interchangeable, but on the other hand, they have specific what do you call this, roles,
Mm-hmm.
most especially in today's time. So the difference between them is the product will answer these questions: what to develop and why we need to develop it. So it's basically facing the users. So tying up with the business, tying up with the upper management when it comes to financial and business direction, and then also facing towards the users. So when it comes to how is it usable, is it user friendly, etc., etc. Does my let's say login, is it really user friendly towards these kind of demographics,
Mm-hmm.
or is it causes some drop offs because they don't understand the process, the steps, the labels, the colors, those things, the shapes, it doesn't appeal to them. So, and then the project managers are the one who answers the question, the two questions that are, which are how to develop and when can we deliver it. So do
Okay.
you see the distinction?
Yes.
So
Yeah,
it's
I think so
basically,
too.
yeah.
So
So
it's
basically
basically
the
like
the
I sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
I was
No.
just wondering, so you're saying like the product manager
Mhm.
is client focused and the
Yes.
project manager is
project.
the one that's gonna make it happen,
Yes.
right?
So if you're going to let's give an example. Whenever you create a house, so I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the product managers are the one who does or are the architects. They're the
Okay.
one who designs if the stairs is okay, how long the stairs should be,
Mhm.
etc. etc. In alongside with the designers, right? And then the engineers or the one who executes it are the project managers.
Right.
So yeah, basically that's how you explain it in a more layman's term.
Okay.
So yeah,
So sir, yes, sir, in relation to that, what skills do you think is essential for for one to become a project manager?
one is pretty straightforward. Is has a strong management. So you
Mm-hmm.
need to be organized with all the things, and also you need to have a strong logical skills also. So if there are sometimes there are situations that we need to decide uh, either schedule conflicts, or sometimes you need to intervene with execution concerns. You need to be
Mm-hmm.
there to be the middleman or to make sure that we would come up with a certain decision so that we would be able to deliver things on track. Next is I think you need to know how to manage people as well.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean you need to be an extrovert because there are people who are introverted who are PMs
Mm-hmm.
also. Example number one is me. I'm an introverted person, but still I was able to, learn how to talk to people, manage, and also to have an intentional relationship with them. Because sometimes if you don't have relationship with them, sometimes it's kind of robotic that you need to do this, but sometimes that would cause a little bit of friction because why would I do that? I mean, I know you're the PM, but those kind of things, it somewhat causes friction when you have relationship with them, when you're being intentional of knowing where they're coming from, why do they decide that way, then you would know, okay, I would be able to consider it. And then you being intentional, they would appreciate it, that okay, I can give leeway also. So it's like um managing, or what would you say, having like the sweet spot between what you want from them and them being heard from
Mm-hmm.
you. So next is I
Like
would say to have a basic
definitely.
knowledge on how programming works.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not pretty standard, right? But I think having that knowledge on how programming works is gives you a certain perspective that gives you, how to say it makes you feel or know why these kind of estimates are done. Because sometimes, the developer would say, this would take me 5 days. Why
Mm-hmm.
5 days? So sometimes there are people who would say 5 days, but in reality it's just 2 days. And
Okay.
then not all developers would say that. But I think, and also based on my experience with Flexisource and also
Mm-hmm.
based on my knowledge, they always tell me what is the right estimates. I'm pretty honest with those things because as far as I can remember, I always tell them, let's be true to our estimates, and then let me know if you have concerns, if you think these things would take this long because this is like an impact, or we still have tasks, etc., etc. So based on experience, it took me this long for this kind of task to be delivered. So basically, we just need to have transparency, and so that I would be able to, you know, what do you call this, adjust based on what is the reality. So having that kind of knowledge, you would be able to perceive right away that okay, this kind of project would take me 5 days. I just need to um verify it with the team, and then they would say, yeah, I totally agree with your estimates or your plan. Then okay, there's no need for me to confirm because I saw it already. Then let's execute. So basically, I think those things are crucial,
Mm-hmm.
but there are other things that can be added that would be helpful. Just a minor answer, I think that would be design, so UI and UX.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that you would know why are these designs executed this way. Because just like what I've mentioned a while ago, in product, you need to know why you're building your product. right? So in UI UX, you need to have that understanding also. Why do I designing or delivering this product executed, I mean the design executed this way is because my demographic doesn't understand it this way. So that's why I'm reiterating another cycle for me to deliver this improvement on my product. So yeah.
So basically, you're not just like handling the project itself, but you're also handling the people itself. So that's why you need
Yes.
those. Okay.
Yes.
You have to see through the other, for like the
Mm,
client's perspective. Like, for example, a Gen Z would like to use it similar to TikTok, and then another one would be like email. Yeah, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
amazing. But moving forward to the main topic, what are the first steps someone should take if they're thinking about, going into project management?
I think one thing is what's their life goal? Why do they need to pursue project management? I mean, in all careers that we have, we need to know our goal and also what's the purpose of us taking up this, because sometimes you need to have that driving force for you to be able to pursue those things in spite of challenges. So I think you need to come up with a strong foundation on why you're taking up project management. Is it because it has a greener pasture in long term, or does it
mhm.
have like a better impact to your uh, work life balance with your family? Those things. I think that's number one. And second is, to take up the foundational courses also, or
Mhm.
knowledge, come up with a certain base of knowledge so that you would be able to say that, okay, I'm confident with this one. I would be able to proceed with this kind of project management role, because let's say I've already come up with a 2-year course or a 4-year course from this uh, school. But also it's not necessary. I mean, in other countries, it's not necessary for you to have like a 4-year course when it comes to
Mhm.
project management, as long as you have the capability and also your employer would see your potential that, hey, this person has a potential to be a project manager. So example, me, I, I graduated as a developer, and then along the way with my professional experience, there was a time that one of our CTO, one of our bosses, our CTO, mentioned that, hey, Brendon, I mean, back then my role was an account executive, right? So I'm the one who faces the accounts or the clients when it comes to their digital marketing efforts. So with that, I was able to handle a different kind of projects, not just digital marketing, but I was able to handle my what do you call this? My project that time, where it includes digital assets. So one example would be Maxes and Yellow Cab. So if you guys can
Mhm.
remember the first iteration of Yellow Cab app, so it was I was part of it, handling those things. And then one of our CTO mentioned or saw a potential in me that, hey, you have like an understanding of how programming works, database, how to execute these stuff. Then why don't you try handling our product development side or the production side? I was like, yeah, I'll take a shot. It wasn't that big in the company, but it was my stepping stone on becoming a project manager. So going back to my point, it really doesn't. You really don't need to have like a day one to have a project management e- uh, experience. It's a
Mhm.
matter of a perfect timing of opportunity, you bring prepared and having the right fundamentals as well and showing it to them. So yeah.
Well, for you, your transition from one career to another was very clear. But aside from that, like example, me and Pam, we were just talking just a while ago.
Mhm.
Like we're curious about becoming a project manager. Do you think it's possible for us to transition or any leverage that we could use to transition between our career now and to becoming a project manager?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, okay, I think this is not a project management example, but
Mm.
I think it's a concrete example that even though your course is really on the opposite side of the world, you can still be project manager. So, example, I have this. So previously with my previous employer, I have this colleague. He's the head of right now. I think he's the head of marketing strategy. So his academic background was so opposite with his current role. Guess what? Guess what role was is that?
I'm gonna go with engineering or something medical.
Mhm.
How about you, Pam?
Same. Maybe I think like
All right. He's under the he's with the medical industry.
oh
That's right.
So he was taking up pre-med,
okay.
and I think he's just I'm not sure if he took medicine and then dropped, but he
Mm.
took the pre-med. I think he graduated nurse, took the medical. I don't know. But the point here is he came from the med industry, so that's how opposite it is, right? So I was like, huh, why do you transition from med to, you know, digital
How did he get there?
industry? And he mentioned that he really loves math, like
Ooh.
he's that kind of a person. So I was like, makes sense because multimedia or digital marketing comes with a lot of things to do. So going back to your question, so when it comes to is it possible? Yes, of course it's possible. I think it's a matter of your determination. Just like what I've mentioned a while ago, it's a matter of perfect timing, you being prepared and having the good fundamental for you to be able to take up on that role. So another example, I have this friend right now. So he's a close friend of us. His wife is a project manager, same with me.
Mm.
And then he saw that his wife is he has this freedom of working everywhere, like going to Singapore, blah blah blah. But the thing here is, I think it's the time zone thing, right? That's the only cons. But he saw that and he saw an opportunity. Oh, I think this one is good. So he's a how to say it? His occupation, his role currently is he's a science trainer, a science-based trainer. So basically, he trains people on a scientific way. He deals with athletes, celebrities who wants to have that goal to be physically fit and also to be
Mhm.
able to perform in on a optimal way. So
Is it
let's
like a
say, yeah, it's like
Physical therapy?
physiotherapy? Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's a physical therapist, but I think along that line because what he does is he optimizes their movement, make sure that they're moving they're hitting their goals when it comes to weight, their what do you call this? Their nutrition. It's like a trainer but on a scientific way, and also they make sure that let's say a basketball player would do it optimally and also to be able to recover coming from a certain injury. It's like I think it's a combination of therapy,
With
PT,
science.
trainer, yeah, with science, those things. So when going back to my story, he mentioned that he wants to take up courses to be able to to have that trajectory or different direction coming from that occupation or that industry to being a BA or business analyst or project management or product manager. So, he's currently doing stuff that is totally different from his role so that he could enter IT,
Mm.
the scene of, IT, specifically project management. So, yeah, he's really been grinding for a couple of days already. So, yeah. So, question if it's possible, again, it's yes.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Okay, so in relation to that, if we want to transition from our career to project management, Yes. Do you have
Mhm.
any recommendation when it comes to resources, books, or communities that we could
Um,
follow?
okay, so I think on top of, graduating a 4-year course related to, IT industry or
Mhm.
IT, I think one thing is, go boot camp. There are a lot of boot camps that offer, I mean, there's a lot of things in the internet that offers boot camps. You can search them either Google,
Mhm.
LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, etc., etc. If you want it to take it on your own pace, I think you can go with Coursera or
Mhm.
Skillshare. So those are like, your on-demand kind of content where you can, read through based on your free time, etc. And also you can learn from YouTube. But I think when it comes to transitioning, I would heavily suggest to have a mentor
Oh.
because there's a lot of things that you need. I mean, asking questions and having a real-time answer is pretty important, right? So that you would be efficient when it comes to you having the or thinking of the next steps that you want to do. So I guess those things.
Okay. That's,
So you've told us about how you started as a project manager, right? But I'm kind of interested about your personal experience as a project manager. Significantly, more importantly, rather, what were the challenges you faced, how you dealt with it, starting off.
Mm-hmm. So I guess experience. I think one of the things that I would remember is when I handled my first project. I think the lack of knowledge or experience when it comes to how to handle properly the project that we have and how to better manage people also and their expectations. I think having that's why I heavily suggest a while ago to have that mentor or someone who would share with you knowledge on what to do on a certain things that would come, scenarios that would arise where you haven't experienced yet. So having that is pretty crucial so that you would know, okay, this kind of complication coming from the server or the let's say the website, the reason why it came or it resulted to this kind of error, it's because of this one. So going back also to that point that you need, I mean, not to you need to. I think it's a plus for you to have an understanding of how programming works, right?
mm,
Or how the infrastructure works, so that you would know how to solve it. So having less knowledge about those things, it really created a lot of frictions in every step that I did or I took back then. It really impacted the delivery time, my relationship with my teammates because I don't know where to step. Is it left or right? Should I take one step or two steps? Should I
mhm.
steer left or right? Those things. So I think those were the things that memorable to me when it comes to or the challenges that I've faced. But once I've uh, gained knowledge within 1 year, 2 years, then it became smooth sailing. But I mean, it not 100% smooth because there are still hiccups along the way, right? But you would be able to, see your improvement. Okay, I've already experienced this, so I need to do it this way. And then there's another new thing that you would experience, and then your mindset change already. Okay, I've already experience this kind of friction, so I'll treat this friction or this experience this way because I know this is just a learning or a
Mhm.
time where I really don't know the answer, but I need to pull strings so that I would be able to deliver things. So yeah,
So
I
it's
think
like
the
trial
first
and error.
few years was pretty hard, but I was able to go through with the storm and successfully um advance with along with my teammates also and some of my bosses. So, yeah.
I just want to ask, I know this is out of bounds. Like, did you have a mentor also? Or
Yes. Of course my bosses, but of course, I mean they're busy as well. So I need to figure things out sometimes on my own and ask questions. And I always what do you call this? not recently, but for the past 5 to 6 years, I think I always tell this to my team, to them, that there's no such thing as stupid question. Always ask, because as you ask, that's the time you will be able to learn.
Mhm.
So when it comes to, if my mentor or my bosses are not around, I'll just ask my teammates, such as a dev or a QA, who knows the specification about a certain project, etc. Because you guys have one goal, to deliver it right on time, on budget, on everything. So yeah, and having that kind of mindset that you have one goal, then helping is not a problem. So yeah, I think, yeah. And then when it comes to what I mentioned a while ago about there's no such thing as stupid question. So the reason why I always share that and keep that on my mind is, sometimes in a range of 100%, you have this 95% or 98% sureness in yourself that
Mhm.
this is the answer, but sometimes that 2% still wins, right? That
Yeah.
is it really right? I know this is the answer, but
Yeah.
I just want to clarify with other people that is am I right? Because I mean, we have self doubts, right?
Yes.
So that self doubt sometimes wins internally. So I always ask or tell my teammates that, hey guys, if you're in doubt with your decision, and it's 95% that's the answer, but you want to ask, just really ask me, because I mean, we're not 100%. I mean, we're not Jesus Christ who knows everything, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
we just need to collaborate with everyone, so that you would be able to deliver things in a more accurate way. So
Okay. Sir, can you share like a significant project you've managed before, and the lessons you've gained from it?
okay, significant projects. I would say significant project. I would say one would be Yellow Cab app,
Oh.
because it was first is it was my first mobile app that um it was pretty straightforward. I mean, pretty straightforward. It was an app before Grab came in. So if you can remember, way back early 2010s,
Mhm.
I actually
2013,
had that app.
14.
Yeah.
Yes, I think
Right.
I've used it before as well.
So before Grab or Foodpanda, Zomato, every
Mhm.
business or restaurants have their own app, right? And then they have their own riders, which is cumbersome for them when it comes to business perspective, because their operating expense is bloated because of
Mhm.
that. So they need to have those kind of departments stable. So when we did that with MGCC or Maxis Group Corporation, we collaborated with their call center also, because their orders comes from passes through the call center, who fulfills and dispatches everything. So with that, I was able to learn that, okay, not just being a project manager, but I mean, having the glimpse of an organization on how they work. And
Mhm.
also I was able to um, talk to the owners of, or the head of MGCC, their aspiration, why are they doing these things across brands. And then I was able to have um I was able to nitpick their ideas. So example, there's this one feature that it's it's just a small thing, but it's kind of cool back then. Whenever a certain, let's say if the clock strikes
Mhm.
12 midnight, the menu changes. And then the interface of the Yellow Cab app changes from yellow to black. So it's like, it's kind of, that's a quirky thing for them to have. It's a small thing, but it catches the
Attention.
user's attention, and then it increases the retention also of the users. So on top of those innovations, and also learning, I was able to learn on how to properly execute project management, how to deal with designs, UI, UX, typographies. I mean, there are those kind of things. It's really essential on project management. Actually, I was wearing two hats that time. I was wearing product management. I was wearing project management also. So because that time the organization that I'm with was, I was kind of startup-ish kind of agency. So yeah, it was tricky. It was full of experience, but yeah, I was able to learn a lot from then. And then there's another employer, which is an e-commerce company coming from Korea. The repetitive execution of fundamentals were there. They were able to give us, I mean, the project managers, to have that leeway for us to be able to have a little bit of mistakes, but mistakes that doesn't point fingers, because sometimes whenever you have mistakes, people would point fingers at you. Oh, you're the one who did this and delayed the deliverable, blah blah blah. So with that, I was able to learn. One is to manage people better, and then also to have a better camaraderie between teammates, because I think those are the things that we need to um, learn when it comes to project management. Even though you have technical skills, but you don't have people management, then you're screwed, right?
Yes.
So those things, and also on top of that, learning through learning even though you're in a diverse culture. I mean, not too diverse, but having a language barrier is kind of hard also to deal with. So yeah, I think those are like the things that I would say memorable and challenging at the same time.
What about like any regrets? Like, is there anything you would have done differently on your path to becoming a project manager?
I think I should have done it earlier, I guess. And also having a mentor, because having a mentor would give you the guidance on what to do, right? Fundamental learning, those things. And also on the other hand is how you should grow your career from the point you started, from year 1 to year 4, from year 4, or let's say from year 1 to year 5, from year 5 to year 10, and how you should approach it. Should you take 5 years per company, or should you take 3 years per company? How should you do or deal with expected salaries? Those things. Because at the end of the day, we want to be able to provide for our family, right? We want to be financially stable. So yeah, I think I should have done it earlier and having a mentor.
Okay, sir, before we wrap up, do you have any final advice for aspiring project managers? Any parting words?
I think sorry. I think advice, I think it's applicable in across all roles, not just in project management, right? So I think I mean, having a good day is easy to handle, right? It's
Yes.
pretty straightforward. Having I mean, good timeline, executing, delivering everything, being praised or being appreciated by your boss, etc., etc. But how do you deal with the bad days? I would say treat your bad experiences or bad days as a learning and not as a failure, because those things will only be a failure if you won't be able to learn from it. So it's a wasted opportunity for you. So yeah, I think make it count in all aspect, or in those angles, because there will always be a learning in those situations. Even though, example, your boss told you, you should have been like this, blah blah blah, you should have executed it this way, blah blah blah. Then you ask yourself, why did he mention it this way, or why did she mention it this way? I'll need to adjust. I need to, uh, think through. And then with that, as you realize, okay, so I did it this way, that's why it's bad. Or it resulted to this one, or it resulted to this kind of extension, or missed target. So, as you, I know it's costly time-wise, but also it has there's an opportunity for you to learn and to grow. And if you don't grow and learn with those bad days, then that's
Yes.
a lost opportunity. That's a failure for me. Yeah.
Well, thanks
So
a bunch, Brendon, no? Sir Brendon, rather. And thanks to our listeners for tuning in. We hope you learned a lot from this episode. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our upcoming episodes. This is Bernice.
And Pam, thank you so much again, Sir Brandon. And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
thank you guys. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.